Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Let's Talk. Today, I will be talking with Tekela Miles, who is a certified group and life coach with the Christian Coach Institute. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit about self-care. So welcome, Tekela.
Hi, thank you, Joanna. Glad to be here.
You're welcome. So how I came up with the subject, these last couple of weeks have been really, really super challenging for me. Not just because everything that's going on with the pandemic and, being at home, working from home, trying to watch the kids and work from home. But I have just realized that within the last 4 months, I've had a lot of changes. I switched jobs, I opened a business, and then we had all this stuff with the pandemic, and now I'm working from home. But not only that, now I have to homeschool. So it's like all of these big changes have happened in such a small amount of time. And I realized that I was just kind of overwhelmed with everything. So literally last week, I woke up and literally woke up stressed. Got out of bed and was stressed and overwhelmed about all the responsibilities that I had to do for that day and, what needed to be done and how I was going to be able to get it done. And really, I just sat back and texted someone like, Joanna, you really need to start taking care of yourself. And I know for me personally, when it gets to that point, I know that it's because I'm not taking care of myself physically, I'm not taking care of myself mentally, and I'm not taking care of myself spiritually. I wasn't spending time in the Word. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't taking time out for me. I was so busy trying to make sure that the household was running smoothly, the kids were okay, the husband was okay, work was still, I was still keeping up with work and everything, and I wasn't paying attention to myself and what I needed to do. So that's how I came up with a subject about self-care and helping people. I think it'd be a good thing, especially during this time, is to help people understand that, you know what, you have to take care of you, because if you don't take care of you, you're not going to be any good to anybody else. And
So
especially
true.
during times, we're in stressful times right now. So,
Yeah.
taking care of yourself has to be a priority. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in with my first question.
Okay.
We're going to have a discussion today. So my first question to you is, what is your definition of self-care and why do you feel like it's important?
Well, self-care, a lot of people most times think about just, going to get the medi-pedis or, going to the hair salon. All of those things are great. They are a part of self-care, but it is so much more. We can take care of our outside, do those things for ourselves, but it's important for us to take care of inside too. So our mental, our physical, goes both ways. That's outside, inside. We want to have healthy hearts. And then the bonus, of course, you get, a slamming body. So, but,
Who doesn't want to slam a body?
right. But we got to take into that. And just like you made a very important statement earlier about, I wasn't even taking care of myself spiritually. That's another big component of self-care. So it encompasses all of those things that are not just, the things that make us look pretty and make us feel good that we can do for the outside, but those things on the inside. And it's just super important because just like you said, if we don't take care of our own needs, then we're not good for anyone else. But it is so important to take care of your needs first. Before you can really supply and give in to anyone else fully and fill their cup.
Exactly. So I'm going to go into my question number 2 is, what do you think is the most effective approach to understanding what you need to do to take care of yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually? So how do you help people understand themselves, basically? What do you need to do to take care of you? Because I know for me, it wasn't kind of an issue, but it was kind of a hard thing. I didn't know what made me happy at some point. I didn't know what I needed to do in order to take that time out for myself. And it took me, a while to try to figure that out. When I get stressed out, what do I need to do to get rid of the stress? Is it exercising? Is it, just being alone for a few minutes? Is it doing something that I love to do, like read or write? So
Right.
what kind of approach, or how do you help people find out what that approach is to discovering what they need to do in order to take time out for themselves and to promote self-care?
Well, I love what you said earlier of why you even decided to talk about this, because you did what most of us do. We don't listen, and it becomes a moment where we feel overwhelmed, and then our body tells us, hey, this isn't going, we're not functioning the way we need to most efficiently. So that is one way, but if we want to head it off before then and just take self-assessments. Being self-aware is so important. Staying in tune with your routine, your habits. Do you notice anything differently about you to kind of head off that stress before it becomes to that moment where we are completely overwhelmed? And it happens. All of us, we're human. We get into that mood because we do live in a world where we're constantly on the go. So sometimes it does take that slap in the face to say, take a step back for a moment. But it is important to have that self-awareness, assess some of the things, kind of sit down and assess your day-to-day routine. What are the things in those day-to-day routines that make you happy, or the things that make you feel more stressed? And just look at that, because it's probably something most of us haven't really put much thought into. I can tell you right now, in these trying times, on my day-to-day, what was stressing me before I was given the approval to work from home is just going out in these COVID-19 streets. Like, why do I need to go to work right now? Like, I'm stressed having to go out. Like, everybody is acting crazy. I can't go to the grocery store without someone having an argument. True story. And that was causing me headaches, honestly, Juana. And so I had to assess, well, why am I getting these headaches? Because of course, at first I was like, oh goodness, what's going on? But I noticed it was every time I took a deep breath and breathe, just took a moment, the headache went away. So I started thinking about some of those things on just normal situations on my day-to-day, and anybody could do that. What are the things that you feel like you get tensed about? Try to eliminate those with more and more of the things that make you happy, like the drawing or the writing, the journaling. Incorporate those things so that you can have more of a routine to kind of start that into being more self-care, more stress reducing for you.
Right. And I totally agree with that, because for me, self-awareness, I think, is key to understanding, what you need to do to take out time out for yourself. For me, I realized I'm the type of person that I never ask for literally assistance in anything. I kind of just do it myself. And then when I get tired of doing it, I become this raging lunatic because I'm tired.
Right.
Like, where did that come from? And it's like, it's been building up for the last 4 months,
But they
So
didn't know,
they didn't know, because I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them I needed help, and I was stressed, and all these things were going on with me. So I am working on to kind of turn that around when I need help, to ask for help, and not to feel like that, I can take on the world by myself. So that was one of the things that, just having that self-awareness is recognizing about myself that it is unhealthy for me not to ask for help when I need it, especially if I have help available. Nobody can do it by themselves all the time. But if you have a support system, you need to use it. And it's okay to use it. You're not abusing it. It's okay to say every now and again that, hey, I need some help with this. I'm stressed out. I got a lot going on. There's a lot going on in my life right now. So it is okay to ask for help. So that's one of the things that I think is super important, is just having that self-awareness is key to understanding what you need to do to take some time out. I will also say that for me, the whole coronavirus thing was kind of like, okay, we'll see where this goes, a lot of.
Right.
Turning point for me was, when we started working from home. Now, I have worked from home in the past before, and it's been fine, but I've never worked from home with a 5 and a 3-year-old. So that has added a completely new dynamic to my life. And right now, I'm averaging about 5 meetings per day, and trying to keep an eye on the kids and actually be on live meetings like we are right now is
Yeah.
super stressful for me because I mean, they have crashed meetings during this time. They have been singing songs. One day I had a full tea party going on while I was trying to, conduct a live, conference call. So that to me is like super, super stressful, not being able to have that control to say, hey, this is
Yes.
beyond anything that I can do right now. And don't get me wrong, people have been super understanding. They haven't, nobody is, I haven't gotten in trouble for anything, but for me, it was like
Yeah.
I've never had to balance that,
Yeah.
and then my kids, they're so young. They don't understand that mommy is home all day, but I'm working 8 hours a day, I can't
Mm-hmm.
have the tea party. I can't, play Legos with you right now. I can't, help you feed your baby right now because mommy is, doing an important call right now. So,
Yeah.
that has been different too, trying to balance that. And because my husband is considered an essential employee, he's not here. So I'm trying to balance
Right.
all this stuff by myself. So that's when I realized that, wait a minute, I need to, make a plan, figure out what I need to do. Because if I don't, I'm going to be a raisin lunatic real soon. Real soon. So let's go into my third question. What are some ways you can incorporate self-care into your everyday routine?
Awesome question. I think, and it's a great segue into kind of what I was talking about with the self-awareness and the self-assessment. Yes, take that self-assessment, hopefully before you get into burnout. But if you find yourself, just like anything else we do, we have to work, we take care of the kids and do other things. We schedule those things. We make a point to get up and get dressed and take a bath and brush our teeth. Self-awareness, self-care, should be just the same, no different. If at first it needs to be that, I think you should incorporate some type of self-care into your routine by scheduling a moment.
Mm-hmm.
To do the assessment. Maybe it's every day or once a week, and just have once a week would be good because then it gives you an idea of the patterns, like I talked about earlier, just to kind of, see what it is that kind of gets you stressed and how to eliminate that one more and more. And then trying to incorporate the things that make you happiest, like listening to certain music, soaking in the tub after work or after a great workout. That will be a good way to get into your routine until it becomes so habitual for you that you
Mm-hmm.
start really incorporating self-care more and more. Make sure you give yourself that quiet time. Shut off social media. That has helped for me tremendously a lot. I'm kind of just now coming off a social media hiatus myself. I didn't think I would go for like a whole month but not really posting. I didn't post or like anybody's stuff because I wasn't looking at it. But it was helpful. It was cleansing for me, and especially right now in this time, most of all you see is COVID-19 stuff. So if that for you makes you even more stressed out, that would be a good way to eliminate that. But that's the most effective way I think is a good way to incorporate it into your routine. And that's something I've done. I wake up now without even an alarm clock to exercise. At 4 o'clock, I always wake up in the morning. Even if I don't set the alarm, my body is so used to it because it's such my happy place, and it's self-care for me that I just get up and I exercise. But everyone has to find that happy medium for them to still do all the things that they need to do, but also incorporating that time for them. And most of all, give yourself some grace too. If you don't,
Exactly.
that's the biggest thing. If I don't do it today, okay, maybe I didn't exercise today, and I'm a little stressed about that. That's one I can relate to. Sometimes I used to feel guilty about it and incorporate that type of self-care into my routine because maybe something got kind of haywire. Unexpected things happen. Just give yourself some grace. You can always go back to it another day and know how to change it around, or maybe plan for those unexpected things so you can still get that one thing that keeps you happy, and so you don't create a whole nother stress, because that's what it was doing to me. I'm like, dang it, I didn't work out. Now I'm grumpy. Ugh. But
Right.
but but that just created more chaos. So you still got to keep, definitely keep assessing, and until it becomes so much of a habit for you, that you really do incorporate that into your life and routine, so that you again can be there for everybody else and you're not burnt out.
Exactly. And it does help. I always tell everybody my day starts at usually at 5 o'clock. And because I have small kids, I either have to get up and have my alone time early in the morning or after I put
Yeah.
them to bed at 8:30. So typically I usually tend to do that in the morning because I have, more time. So I typically get
Yeah.
around 5. Um, and I usually try to do some type of devotional. I try to do some type of encouraging video that's going to get me on my day, that gives me some type of word of affirmations that I can make it through the day. So it could be a podcast, it could be a YouTube video, but I have to listen to something positive that's going to help me believe in myself for that day, that you got this, you can do this every day. So that's it. I start off with my devotional. I listen to the, podcast or YouTube video. And then I wake everybody up and we start to go throughout our day. But it has helped for me to have a routine that I follow every day. So that when I don't do the routine, then I'm like, okay, I'm off this week. Usually this is what
Right.
so, but I am all for giving yourself some grace because it's a lot going on right now. I mean, we just we have to be kind to ourselves. I always tell my children to be kind to yourself. If you had a best friend who something had happened or, they forgot to do something, you wouldn't talk to them negatively or, try to down them or anything. You would be kind to them. Oh, you got this. You'll just start again tomorrow. It'll be
Right.
okay. But we don't tend to do that with ourselves.
True.
So that is something that I'm learning, is just give myself some grace, for myself. I can't do everything. Everything's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. I am doing the best that I can with the responsibility I can handle at that point.
Yep.
And if I don't get it right today, then we'll start all over and we'll try to do better tomorrow. But, you can't down yourself and, continue to beat yourself over the head for something like that. So
Yeah.
that's
And
going to
use
lead
tools and resources.
exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. So that's going to lead me to my next question, which is, do you believe words of affirmation is important? For me, and I'm just going to say for me, it is every day I am saying some type of words of affirmation to myself. I make myself notes, whether they're posted on my mirror or they're posted on my vision board, to show myself that, hey, you can do this. Just so I can believe in myself. Because I know that sometimes, even with the situation, just say, I just started a business and now we're at home.
Right.
I just started a business. I poured all this money and resources into this. And now I'm like at a point where I don't even know where to go with this business because, I don't even know what to do. So that has been stressful to me. Like, I done did all of this and now we're at this point where, I'm at a standstill and I'm not even sure how to move forward on it. So I get up and I tell myself, you know what? Everything, and this is a book that I'm currently reading. It's called Everything is Figure Outable. Everything.
Okay. Sounds good.
And it's by Marie Folio, but I mean, the stories in there are so encouraging to me because everything is figure outable. You may not figure it out today, but you can adjust and figure out how to do it, how to combat it, spend some time in prayer, spend some time looking at it. Everything is figure outable. So there's nothing on this earth that I can't do if I put my mind to it. So that's something that I believe. But just having those words of affirmation, you believe what you're going to you believe what you say about yourself. And I'm a firm believer. If I keep telling myself that I will never be able to do this, that there's no way my business can recover, that I will not be, I won't be able to take care of the kids while I'm working from home, that's what you're going to get. But if you continue to wake up every day and say, I got this, I am able, I am capable, I am willing, I will be able to figure this thing out. I'm going to walk in with a positive attitude. If I continue to talk to myself and tell myself that, then I believe I am going to start believing that at some point because I'm saying it to myself every day. So what are your thoughts on words of affirmation?
They definitely are encouraging. A lot of people, I don't think a lot of people realize how much they're needed, to really boost their confidence. I have a journal that I have that I got just from the $5 store. And it's completely a journal of affirmations. Today I will, or I was strong when I did such and such. And you get to fill in the blank. And it has been so rewarding for me, because as I go and assess my day to day, and I accomplish all of these great things. Just to give everybody watching a little background, I made a major decision to leave my hometown to take on a job in a big city that I've never lived in before. And I am here alone. And it has been, on the one hand, very motivating and commendable and just courageous. But then there have been those moments where not ever doubt, but just, am I still continuing? Like, did I do the right thing? Am I still going to, make it, in this big town by myself at this job I want to prosper? And that book has been so rewarding to me, because something as little as, for the first time, putting together a new bed by myself was rewarding, and I felt so accomplished that I felt strong. And those are things you want to take on your day to day, because you do have those big moments that you want to, pat yourself on the back about, and continue to be motivated in those things, and it drive you. And just having affirmations to say, yeah, I am strong, or I deserve this job because of my skill set, and I made a good decision. Whatever that may be for you, just reminding yourself of those things does keep you moving forward and prospering and going higher in whatever it is your passion is for.
Yeah. So, and I have coached several people, throughout my career. And one of the things I always tell them is that you never know what you can do until you do it.
Yeah.
And then once you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. You don't know you can do it until you do it. And I always tell people, we kind of second guess ourselves. And I believe that's a lot of the reasons why we don't accomplish a lot of the goals that we have, because we don't believe in ourselves enough to actually do them. So I'm a firm believer of speaking to yourself until you start believing it. I am smart. I am capable. I am able. I can do this. I am valuable. People need to hear what I have to say. There's people out here who is making millions of dollars, and they don't have the least bit of education that you have. They don't have the experience that you have. They ain't been through what you've been through, but they are making it, and they're doing well because they believe in who they are and what they can accomplish. So I think it is key, especially with self-care, is to make sure that you're talking to yourself positively on a daily basis. Get up and say, I got this today. We can do this. I can do this. I know it's going to be hard, but guess what? It's not impossible. So I'm a firm believer of words of affirmation. So what kind of advice do you give others who are struggling to build and maintain self-care routines? I am one who struggles in this area. Like, I will have a plan, and one week I'm doing good, and then the next week I done fell off. It's like, I got to get back on track the next week. And it's like, there's certain routines that I do every day, but there's also certain things that, I expired to do, but they just never come out. I'm doing it a couple days, and then after that it's like over and done with. So what is your advice for someone who's struggling in building those daily routines?
First, ask yourself your why. What's your why? Because when we have a why, we come up with a way to do it. And like you said, sometimes we have a plan, but we don't always execute it. But the things that we do have a plan for and we do execute, how do you accomplish those? For me, I execute it by checking. I love to check off boxes. So if it's a goal or a self-care routine, or something I want to add into my day-to-day, maybe making that list so I can feel happy that I checked it off because I did it. Find what makes you really motivated to do the things that you do on a regular, and maybe use that to be your tool for checking off self-care routines. I know some people think, would always ask me all the time, well, how in the world did you wake up at 4:00 in the morning and exercise, or why would you do that? Well, for a couple of reasons. It was always my quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else was asleep. Afterwards, I could do my quiet devotion with the Lord. And so I had to get there, though. It didn't just happen. I had the plan, but I had to practice it. And the tool that I used was my iPhone, something simple that we use all the time. I just programmed it to wake me up at 4:00 until, I got over I don't feel like it at this moment. But until I finally said, okay, this is what I want to do. You keep doing that and it becomes a habit. So you got to use tools, like we mentioned earlier, resources, to kind of help you, whatever it is, to make you execute it in the way that you need to. And I think that's going to be the best way for anybody to build it. And now, of course, sometimes we can always shut off the alarm of the phone, but that's why I say you gotta remember your why. My why was that it was quiet. It was for me. There are so many bonuses to me being healthy. You gotta remember your why. Think about that, and then you'll find that way. Whenever we want anything, we wanted a new car, or we seen a dress on sale that we know we wanted.
We will find a way to save the money.
Yes. I want it. My wife's because it's on sale, and I'm going to make a way to get it. So you got to think about those things the same way. Same way.
And you are so right in that. And I tell people to start off with the little things. I'm one of those people, I love to make goals, and usually I have goals every year about what I want to accomplish, but what I realized is that I would make these goals and wouldn't accomplish all of them. So what I did was starting breaking those goals up into littler goals. Instead of having, annual goals, I have, weekly goals or daily goals. Today, I want to make sure I do at least these 3 things.
Yep.
And then if I do more, I can pat myself on the back like, yay, I did more than I even had on my sheet, So it's just the small things and using, different resources, just like you said, to kind of make sure that you're staying on the straight and narrow, that you are following what, your heart is and what you think you need to do for yourself. So now we're going to do something fun. I actually found this quiz, and it was on One Tough Job website. It's a parenting website. And anybody who has kids knows that having children brings a whole nother element to, your self-care time.
Right.
But they were asking these questions, so I kind of want to get your opinion on a lot of things. So number one, the question is, are you getting 8 hours of sleep? And no, I'm not. I always tell everybody, my son is 5. I don't think I've had 8 hours of sleep since he was born. And right now I'm operating probably about between 5 and 6 hours of sleep at night. But I know my friend Tekela, she's probably, I have Tekela and another friend that I know are in bed, under the bed, but 8.
Yes.
I'm in all of that because I'm like, how in the world do you even get every day? So what are your thoughts about that? Getting those 8 hours of sleep per night? Do you think that
hallelujah?
She's like, hallelujah.
I believe in it firmly.
So I would even begin to know. So my goal this year has been at least trying to get into bed by 9, which
that's
I
good.
think this year it's probably only happened maybe 3 times, but
but if you're getting up at 5, I think that's good.
So I'm trying to at least get into bed by 9, but I'm like, I don't even think it's humanly possible for me to get in there earlier than that.
I do. Anyone out there struggling for the 8 hours, like I said, I'm a strong believer in it. But I had to get there, just like how I had to train myself to get up early. Same tool. iPhone, anybody has an iPhone, you can set a set bedtime. You can make yourself have your alarm and say, it's time to go to bed, and it'll tell you when to wake up, and you can set it for 8 hours. And I had to just kind of get into just laying in the bed at 7 or 7:30 and, little by little, maybe cutting off the TV, cutting off the phone, making things darker so I would get in more of the habit to fall asleep. And then it just got where, yes, 8 o'clock, my body is like, girl, get in the bed. I go to sleep. I go to sleep on the dot at 8 o'clock. I might wake up sometimes, but you, again, just like anything else, just like practice of anything else, you have to get in the habit of training yourself to get there.
Right. And I agree. I'm gonna have to do better this year.
Yes.
So their question number 2 to ask yourself is, do you prioritize your tasks by not creating a heavy to-do list? And I think I failed probably all of these questions here, but I am like, okay, so I am one of those multi-passionate people. Like literally there could be a million things going on in my mind at one time. I literally have thought of at least 3 different subjects since we've been talking so far.
Oh,
So
goodness.
I always have something like going on in my mind of what I could be doing, what I should be doing, what I could write down, blah, blah, blah. But what I tend to do is I tend to overexert myself. I tend to overschedule things, and then I'm completely burnt out. So I am practicing this year, saying no. No, I can't do that, and it's hard for me because I love being involved. I love being involved in community projects. I love volunteering my time. I love, helping people. But I realized that in order to promote self-care, that I have to be able to say, you know what, I can't do this at this time because I have other priorities that I need to see to. And literally myself is one of those priorities. So what do you feel about, having the to-do list and, overextending yourself? What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely have a to-do list. I would go crazy if I didn't have one because, again, like I said, I like to check off the box. But studies show if you have to focus on one thing at a time. Actually, the myth about, well, what we used to know of multitasking is not really effective is what studies show nowadays. You can't really, as much as, especially us as moms, we're good at, trying to type, and then all of a sudden out the corner of our eye, we see a child about to fall and we can grab them, we can do these things. We have been known to do this, but it happens just like what you said, you get burned out. So it's just best not to do multitasking is what studies show. Just focus on things one at a time. And I agree with the quiz. Maybe not make such a heavy list, because in that way, if you don't do everything because you are practicing more focus on one thing at a time, for those who may get anxious like myself because I didn't get to check it off, you can save yourself, some stress. So just make a shorter list and that's more measurable, and you can achieve it by checking it off and focus on each one of those things one task at a time.
Okay, so make a small list and focus on the specific things, not the broader picture of things.
Yeah.
So question number 3 is, do you carve out at least 30 minutes a day for an activity you like?
Yes. Especially now, being in a new city, away from my family, it's hard. But there still are those moments where I have that quiet time. I let them know, friends and family, hey, I'm just going to get in this quiet place. And it may be me reading. It may be me exercising. It may be me watching a favorite Netflix show, or something. But yes, definitely do that because no one's bothering you at that moment. So you could be happy, and then you can go back to, talking to everybody or doing other things with other people, but you've had that moment to yourself with your own thoughts and just your own joy.
Right. And usually what I've been doing, especially now since we're at home, is I love to read and I love to write. So what I try to do every day is in the morning time when I get up, make that a portion of where I'm reading something. Now I like to read mostly self-development books, personal, professional development books, but I also like to read things that just, leisure time, fiction, So I try to at least have one book that's going to help me with professional development, but then I'll also have something that's entertaining to me that I can read. So spending that time either in the morning or before I go to sleep is kind of reading at least a chapter. So right now I'm doing that in the morning, reading a chapter of one book, and then at night reading a chapter of another book. So I am doing that one. I can mark that one as a yes.
Yes, good.
At least 30 minutes a day doing something that I absolutely love to do. So number 4, is there a support system that you can turn to on days when you feel overwhelmed?
Yes, I've been blessed with a great group of women in my life. So whenever I feel like I just need a woman's ear, I can turn to them and really get that support I need if I'm feeling overwhelmed. Now, um, if if I'm taking on too much, I don't really have anyone to help me. So
Mm-hmm.
that support is not necessarily there. It's been more of a conversation for me. So I can easily fall into, oh my goodness, I don't have anyone else to come to my rescue. But so far it's been really good. I've been trying to be very independent on my own here and taking care of that, giving myself that grace and taking care of it. But yeah, I do think it's important that you have to have that support system for sure.
So, and I agree with that too. I also have some amazing women that I'm friends that, I've had for years. Some I've just recently met, but are like my sisters from a different mother.
Right.
I think I struggle with, though, is reaching out to them. I'm always the friend that's there for them, but I struggle with
Yeah.
calling them to say, hey, I'm not okay.
I
I
have
need
to agree with
somebody to
that
pray
one
with
too,
me.
Joanna. I do
So
that too, yeah.
I practice that and doing that more, not just only being the person that's there for everybody else, but also reaching back out to them and saying, hey, I'm not okay. I need your prayers. I need your support at this time too. And all of my
Yeah.
friends, I think they would drop, what they were
Right.
doing to be
Yeah.
there in a heartbeat. So it's not that, it's just me. Me being
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
say that, I need you right now. So I struggle with that, but that is something that I am, that I'm aware of and that I'm working on, because I think that everybody needs that escape sometime where you don't need someone to tell you, to give you advice. You just need a shoulder to cry on. You just need somebody to
Yeah.
say, it's going to be okay, just to hear you out. They don't have to have a solution to the problem. You just need them to hear you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have friends like that, I suggest you pray about it, that you ask God to put those type of people in your life so that you do have that kind of support system. And these just don't have to be friends. These could be, your pastors. This could be your coach, whatever, someone that you can trust. You can't trust
Right.
everybody now, but find someone
Right.
that you can trust. Use discernment and find people that truly have your best interest at heart, that you can surround yourself with and that can support you in times where you feel overwhelmed or you feel like you need to talk and you're stressed out. So number 5 is the last question. It says, do you check in on your emotional well-being?
Ugh,
I know,
not
right?
always.
See, I'm going
Not
to need to do
always.
a little bit of work on that one. But
Yes.
just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Because I can be, again, it kind of goes back to what you said about like being there, all things for everybody. I can be so thoughtful for everybody else. But sometimes I'll get in a moment where I just want to cry.
Right.
And I don't want to share that with anybody.
Right.
But I don't have to necessarily be crying because I have people that can comfort me.
Right.
And I didn't have to get that upset. But yeah, sometimes I don't do that assessment of, okay, why did I get so emotional in this moment right now? How I could have handled it better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. So if you answered no to any of these, we're going to need you to take a look at your self-care routine and sit down and kind of, ask yourself, why am I not doing these things?
Yeah.
What is the why behind that? Because that can give you a lot of information too. I mean, what is really going on with me where I'm not taking care of myself? So before we close today, any advice you want to give to us regarding self-care and what we need to do to kind of make sure that we incorporate this into our everyday lives?
Sure. Just I want to reiterate doing that self-assessment, because self-awareness is going to be your first start to
Mm-hmm.
understanding if you truly are, just like this quiz kind of what's a good tool to assess if you are really taking care of yourself or not. So ask yourself some further questions, dig a little deeper and assess, where you are on the day-to-day with your self-care. Are whatever it is that will make you happy. Light a candle. I love candles. Those make me happy. Just having that lit in a room. But yeah, make sure you assess, have that self-awareness of what are the things that are going to make you happiest. What are the things that you're finding are making you stressed on the day-to-day, and then include more of, how do I reduce them by incorporating more things that make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there are stressors that are unavoidable, like, work could be, you could have a stressful job in general, but find out when you're at work, maybe you can listen to, worship music or any other music that makes you happy, or listen to a podcast as you're working that might make you feel happy as you go through your day-to-day of work, and that will eliminate that stress. Use your tools and resources. So if you love checking off the boxes, make a list of it. If you love using your phone for how you track things, make sure to incorporate it in your routine by saying, at this time, I'm going to do this self-care item at this time, and stick to that. Help train yourself to get in that habit, just like we would brush our teeth or take a shower or do the other things to cook, and get dressed and take care of, our employers. We got to take care of home and ourselves. So if we're going to make a point to strategize and do those things, why not include ourselves in that? Because we won't be good for them if we don't. So yeah, I just want to reiterate that those are some effective ways to do it. But again, get into that quiet place of all things too, because when you seek his face in it all, everything will start coming together easily as well. And give yourself some grace in understanding what we all go through, so many different things day to day, but we can get through it.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us today. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Bye.